Welcome to the Republic National News Update for November 2024. The American Republic has been reestablished and we are growing fast. To all Americans who have joined the Republic, God bless you. To our fellow Americans who have not yet joined, this may well serve as an introduction to the Republic of the United States, which you might mistakenly believe that you are already living under. Unfortunately, we have all been deceived. The American Republic has been reestablished, and we are currently running parallel to the United States Corporation, which secretly replaced our republic following the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. President Lincoln, due to the Civil War, in order to run the country and reestablish and reseat our republic, it was necessary to put it on a temporary pause while he ran the nation. Unfortunately, upon his death, the United States Corporation took control with its own appointed leaders and regulations and growing rules and laws in full violation of your constitutional rights. Step by step, this foreign corporation has been destroying our country. Now, they are so confident that we are so completely under its control that this has become an open attack. But they are wrong. Since President Lincoln had legally only paused our republic, and the corporation never actually dissolved it, since they would have had to do that had it not been on pause. But this was their mistake. Your republic has legally been reseated in all 50 states with governors, Senate, House, justices, our president, and indeed our own military leaders. We are ready. It is time for every American to separate yourself from this vile corporation and to join your American Republic. We need 30,000 people in every state to establish our new elections. Sign up at republicforusa.org. Now, let's get to the news. How did we get here, and why is the corporation doing this? We are going to take you on a very fast journey, and we begin with G. Edward Griffin, the legendary author of The Creature from Jekyll Island, and his interview from 1984 with Yuri Bezmenov about the plan which was already in place for our country.
Mr. Bezmenov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years. Actually, it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in the United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split, and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking with every second.
A part of that plan, of course, is to induce the gradual surrender of American sovereignty, piece by piece and step by step, to various international organizations, of which the United Nations is the outstanding but far from the only example. Here are the aims for the United States. One, greatly expanded government spending for every conceivable means of getting rid of ever larger sums of American money as wastefully as possible. Two, higher and then much higher taxes. Three, an increasingly unbalanced budget despite the higher taxes. Four, wild inflation of our currency. Five, government controls of prices, wages, and materials, supposedly to combat inflation. Six, greatly increased socialistic controls over every operation of our economy and every activity of our daily lives. This is to be accompanied, naturally and automatically, by a correspondingly huge increase in the size of our bureaucracy and in both the cost and reach of our domestic government. Seven, far more centralization of power in Washington and the practical elimination of our state lines. There is a many-faceted drive at work to have our state lines eventually mean no more within the nation than our county lines do now within the states. Eight, the steady advance of federal aid to and control over our educational system, leading to complete federalization of our public education. Nine, a constant hammering into the American consciousness of the horror of modern warfare, the beauties and the absolute necessity of peace. Peace always on communist terms, of course. And 10, the consequent willingness of the American people to allow the steps of appeasement by our government which amount to a piecemeal surrender of the rest of the free world.
1930s, there was a law passed that the United States government shall not participate in any type of misinformation propaganda campaigns directed at its citizens. And in 2012, the Obama administration and the freaking Congress that sat then repealed it. It is legal for the agency, the sister agency, the FBI, and the rest of them to put out intentionally misinformation, propaganda to American citizens now.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
The people in North Carolina, you deserve to hear this. I'm a truck driver, all right? I have a 53-foot step deck. I've been trucking for about 2.5 years. I have a YouTube channel, you can verify that on, Babyline Hotshot. Usually in a disaster situation, it is payday for truckers. We look for that hurricane, we look for that ice storm. There's generators coming to you. There's stuff coming out of military bases. There is excavators, skid steers, bulldozers, tree trimming equipment, pumps, like water pumps to pump water out of places that have been flooded. There's no loads on the load board coming to you within 125 miles of Asheville. It's called Truck Stop. This is where I find all my loads. Chicago, Illinois, up at the top. Within 250 miles of Chicago is where I'm gonna pick up. The second is the destination. So it goes origin, destination, watch. See, drop off location. Let's do city, North Carolina. Click it, boom. All right. These are all $1.40 a mile loads, $1.39. That was posted yesterday. I mean, there's nothing. There's nothing. These are loads that you wouldn't even, nobody's taking them. They're just on the load board. They've been on there since yesterday. You can see, right? Let's type in a different city. That's from Chicago. Maybe Tennessee, maybe Nashville is closer, and they'd send resources from Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee, within 250 miles of Nashville, to Asheville, North Carolina, within 125 miles. Let's see, that's it. That's all the loads. That's all the loads that are 28,000 pounds in less. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I mean, what the hell's going on here? I had brokers call me and tell me, Stu, have you seen any loads going to Asheville or like anywhere around the Carolinas, South Carolina, Georgia? Is there any like FEMA loads? There's none. Zero. He's been a broker for 6 years. And he's talking to other brokers. They're saying the same thing. What's going on, guys?
Every organization, every organization is shutting us down. Everywhere we turn, they're putting chains on our supplies. They're stopping our pilots. This is all citizen done. None of this has come from any organization. FEMA has never shown their faces to us. We've got no funds. All of these pilots have been out here. We flew over 400 flights yesterday, and the pilots paid for the gas themselves.
So I'm here in Boone, North Carolina. I'm at the staging area. I volunteered myself and my canines to come up and do some search and rescue efforts. Here's the situation, okay? FEMA is in the area, and we've been told that if we see any FEMA agents, like, hightail it and go. So, obviously you see all my equipment. So we've been told to just turn around and go the opposite direction, because what they're doing is they're confiscating everything. Like, they would confiscate all of my gear, my car, my dogs, like literally everything. There are some people who have been tracking these FEMA agents and what they do with these supplies after. And these are people that are directly associated with the group that I'm volunteering with. And essentially what they're doing is they're taking these supplies to sanctuary areas for illegal migrants and giving it all to them. They are telling the locals here that they have no more money, that they can't give them any money, they can't do anything, but they are confiscating volunteer supplies as they come through, and they are giving it to people who are not legal within the country. Of course it is very hush-hush. Of course they're saying that that's not what they're doing. I will tell you this. I was 11 years in the Coast Guard. I was in Puerto Rico before and during Maria and Irma. I was stationed there through all of that stuff. FEMA did the same stuff there, to the point where the Coast Guard, we did not work directly with FEMA because they were doing shady stuff. So we ended up loading a bunch of supplies and stuff and taking it around the island and delivering it. And we did the same thing after the earthquakes as well. They were confiscating supplies. They weren't issuing supplies. They mishandled money. They mishandled distribution of supplies, and the locals suffered for it. And they are doing the same thing in North Carolina. This is not a joke. This is not a conspiracy theory. Like, this is not false information. Like, I'm here, I'm boots on the ground.
Between Kings Mountain and Chimney Rock, North Carolina is the largest lithium deposit in the world. And the rights are owned by Albemarle Global. And on September the 24th, they actually applied for federal and state permits to redirect and reconstruct their mining operation between Kings Mountain and Chimney Rock. So, Albemarle is owned mostly by stockholders, Vanguard and BlackRock Group. Well, guess who the biggest investor in BlackRock and Vanguard is? Douglas Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband. So, Albemarle is home headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina. And when these permits get approved, they're proposing $250 billion yearly in mining. Douglas Emhoff's stock holdings just went up substantially. And guess who is the final approval for the permits? That would be our lovely VP. So, as I said, I'm going to post about 6 or 7, maybe 8 pictures at the end of this video, and you can see for yourself. It's a disgrace. The loss of life for money. So please, I beg you, if you have any heart and any love for life and liberty and the wrongdoing that's going on right now, please like, comment, and repost this to everybody. Everybody. Thank you.
I'm heartbroken because I saw somebody say nobody cares about the little towns of Appalachia. It's not true. It's not true. This is to the brothers and the sisters of Appalachian Mountains. Just hold on. Help is on its way. Help is showing up from all over the country. Help is being told to stand down. And help has told them all the way off. Help is coming in on mules and horses and ATVs. There are people literally crawling and climbing up these mountains to get to y'all. We know there are so many people still trapped. There are so many towns and creeks and hollers that haven't even been accounted for yet. Our land is under attack. These are spiritual lands. If you've ever been here, you know there is something magical about these mountains. And it's the people. It's not just all the resources. It's the culture and it's the love. It's the way that we banded together without all the help that we should have gotten from the outside world. It's the tractor trailers lined up for miles and miles and miles to bring y'all what y'all need. Help is on its way. If you pray, pray. If you light candles, light candles. But we need to uplift these people. We need to send them our energy to let them hold on a little bit longer.
You guys, I'm done. I am done. How has this country gotten so damn corrupt? So damn corrupt and so insanely tyrannical that we literally do not care about the devastation that's been going on the East Coast. North Carolina, devastated. Florida, devastated. Tennessee, Georgia, devastated. Our forefathers would be rolling in their grave right now.
Because I'm mad as hell. You know that man that you just get so angry that you just cry about it? You're so mad you just cry about it. That's how mad I am. Like, they have lost everything. Everything. Imagine walking outside of your house and seeing nothing that you ever worked hard for just gone. I've seen houses just completely just slide down the mountain. I'm seeing people making videos because they can't find family members. How are they supposed to apply for something if they don't have electricity? That does not get their baby fed in this moment.
Wow. That's, yeah, Mama Tot. I love you, girl. You might be asking yourself, what is Kamala Harris doing about this?
Extremely important because a lot of folks don't save for these kinds of emergencies, and when they hit, it takes a real drain on their resources and ability.
You're voting for that? This is the person you want in our office. She is literally a box of rocks. And then you have this. You have this right here. U.S. to give $157 million in humanitarian aid in response to Lebanon crisis. You're out your freaking living mind. Meanwhile, Everybody here in America gets a $750 loan if you are a victim of the hurricane. But wait, you have to apply for it. No, you have to apply and get approved, and then if you don't pay back the $750, you lose your land.
Intentionally flooded those towns in North Carolina, and you cannot convince me otherwise. People, listen, this is deeper than you think it is. Not many people know this, but North Carolina and the specific towns that got destroyed is the richest in lithium in the world. They have been trying to buy this land from these people in these towns for years, and the residents have stood on ground and said, you're not touching our land. We've worked our asses off our whole life to build this land for ourselves and our family. So what do you do if the people will not voluntarily give up their land? I'll tell you, and I think you already know. You purposely flood them out and destroy their whole entire livelihood. That way you can condemn the land unlivable and uninhabitable to the point that you can just write it off as a land grab.
Do you get it yet? You guys, how much treason and sedition does this country have to inflict on you?
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like. And you can apply now for anyone who's watching this who has been affected. There are FEMA personnel who are going door to door to interact personally with folks, especially those who do not have electricity. But also that aid, if you have electricity, can be applied for online, and I encourage people to do that. FEMA will just basically verify your address, and then the process should take hold.
Hey guys, for those that don't know, I'm at the foothills of the Western North Carolina mountains, and everybody in my area that I've talked to, including myself, who applied for the $750 assistance payment from FEMA, has been denied. Okay? Yeah. They've denied us. Okay. So here we sit. We've thrown out all of our food because we had no power for 5-6 days. Some still are without power. Here we sit. Limited resources in the store. And they have denied our $750 resource check. So, yeah. How do you like that?
But I can tell you personally that when I worked at the grocery store and I cashed them out, the receipts were alarming. $13,000 on EBT food, not including the $29,000 that was on EBT cash.
They had $30,000 on their EBT cash balance left.
Yes.
And as a cashier, you can see that.
Yes.
And you're like, holy shit, what do you have 30 grand on
It's infuriating.
On one person's car.
It's infuriating. Yes, sir.
So they're not getting 600.
And while they're dressed very well, how are you able to dress like that? Coming over here as running for help that we're supposedly helping them? How are you dressed like that when we, the American people, are scrapping for the next set of work boots? That's a problem. That's a serious problem.
We're done.
They must have heard us talking shit, y'all. Cause look, they done hit me harder than ever. I've seen videos like this, but it ain't never been this bad out here.
I have given warnings about chemical munitions. I need the less than lethal team positioned above me to start deploying. Launch! Launch! Launch!
You're on the wrong side of history!
Hey, come here. Show these cops what they just did to you.
You gotta turn around. Go! Shoot! Shoot!
We're up here trying to get through the gate. USA! USA! USA!
Yep, they're deploying flashbangs on us.
They're shooting into their own people. We're supposed to be supporting Blue Lives Matter. We represent Blue Lives, and this is what they do to us.
Stingball deployed! Stingball deployed!
They're ramping things up in a very aggressive manner. And people are now realizing it's almost like we're sleeping and they're building a cage around us as we're sleeping. What are the signs that you're seeing that they're ramping up this? And how far do you think they are away from achieving that goal of that totalitarian police, surveillance state or surveillance police state?
They're realizing they're running out of time because more people are waking up. What they don't get, though, is people are waking up because they're ramping it up, right? It's getting so ridiculous. So they're kind of running out of time. They have a feeling, rightly so, the window is kind of closing because the critical voices are becoming more and they're becoming louder. So that's why they're ramping things up. And you see that. So, there is so many issues going on right now. They're erecting these 15-minute ghettos. That's what I call them. And they're starting with that pretty much in Great Britain. Then in Ireland too, it's kind of starting there. In Netherlands, of course, you have they bash down the farmers. Once again, we're being told it's just, to make a better life for us, to make the world a better place. But what it actually means is you won't have food. If the farmers don't produce food anymore, you won't have anything to eat. It's as simple as that. And tying into that, I wonder why Bill Gates all of a sudden, buys farmland, like crazy. Why would he do that? Well, if you have control over the food, you have total control of the people. So we're seeing all of these issues going on. Digital identity, next thing. Digital identity, it's not so your life is easier. It's so government has total control over you. Look to China, with that social credit system. That's our future. And I'm not talking the future 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's happening now. It is happening now. Digital currency. Oh, isn't that's the creme de la creme of all control mechanisms. What do you think is going to happen if the next time you refuse to take an mRNA shot? With a flip of a switch, they just cancel your account. You cannot buy food anymore. You cannot do anything anymore. That's pretty much where I think it's going. It's to erect a totalitarian surveillance state.
To use it, you just put the glasses on, then as you walk by people, the glasses will detect when somebody's face is in frame. This photo is used to analyze them, and after a few seconds, their personal information pops up on your phone.
Cambridge Community Foundation. Oh, hi, ma'am. Wait, are you Betsy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I met you through like the Cambridge Community Foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great to meet you. I'm Kane.
Oh wait. So do you happen to be the person working on like minority stuff for like Muslims in India at all or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you Kashif?
Yes.
Oh, I've read your work before. It's super cool.
So here's how it works. We stream the video from the glasses straight to Instagram and have a computer program monitor the stream. We use AI to detect when we're looking at someone's face. Then we scour the internet to find more pictures of that person. Finally, we use data sources like online articles and voter registration databases to figure out their name, phone number, home address, and relatives' names. And it's all fed back to an app we wrote on our phone.
Is your address 4 Valley?
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia, 303. Is
Oh my god. Yes. Not anything, but yes.
also attended Yale's Young Global Scholar Summer Program, right? Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
these are me in like middle school.
Oh my god. What about John and Susan? Are they your
Those are my parents.
parents? Okay.
We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
Remember, the United States is our country. We the people. Our republic stands completely separate and is running parallel right now to the corporation which has been controlling us. Our republic was thrown away without our knowledge, but we are back. Join us as we grow fast to the point where we govern our own country and we elect our own leaders of the American Republic. We need you immediately. Every American counts. Sign up at republicforusa.org and join us. And if you would like to hold a seat within the Republic to serve your fellow Americans, we the people welcome you. Never forget that as an American, our Republic is the only lawful government which exists, and now we know the truth. For the American Republic's National News Update, I'm Michelle Holliday.